Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about operators within CounterSide since there are many different operators you can consider investing into and certain ones definitely tops compared to the others. So we'll talk about which operators are the meta operators and why they are so good and why you want to invest your selector tickets, gacha tickets, as well as a test plan of points to try to get to level 8 and such. So let's jump into video and talk about operators. We should start up with talking about operator that is best at level 1 since operator is heavy investments and even the best operators at level 1 cannot beat these two. First operator we are going to be talking about is Hana. At level 1 she can give you 1 deployment cost and also gives sleep immunity buff as well as a 6% skill haste. At level 1 this is insane skill and you can expect her to be used in pretty much any content, so 3,000 test planet points in my opinion is very worthwhile. Investing into your blue tickets to go after her is definitely worthwhile. I highly recommend this character to at least have one level 1. For the side skill, AoE damage reduction is probably going to be the best one for pretty much all the operator out there since it's going to be the scaling the best for both PvE and PvP. So I highly recommend to go after AoE damage reduction, Hana. Momo at level 1 is probably another best operator for PvE contents because she can apply healing reflux to the enemies, and healing reflux basically turns enemies healing into self-harming damage, and this will directly kill some of the most annoying enemies throughout the PvE contents without having to think about their gimmicks. So you will definitely run into some of the challenge stages and you will find yourself, why this enemy not dying? Turning on Momo can instantly kill them and you can proceed the stage pretty easily. So highly recommend to get at least 1 level Momo, and this will definitely make your life pretty easy, especially something like Inhabitor Raid that we currently have. For the side skill options, I definitely recommend AoE damage reduction once again, but just like level 1 Hana as well as level 1 Momo, I definitely recommend you to go after and get them with the 3,000 test planet points instead of using selector operator coupons with the side skill, because you can definitely save that for the other operator instead in my opinion. Moving on, we'll talk about the 2 best operator that exists in this game at level 8. Sysop at level 8 is able to give you 2 deployment costs. So we just talked about how OP Hana is at level 1, giving you 1 deployment cost. Sysop at level 8 can give you 2 deployment costs. So that is pretty insane skill effect with some additional effect it can also give as well. Not to mention trigger is very reasonable and playable around. Striker, defender, and supporter is very compy these days, so I can highly recommend to go after this operator. One downside is that you need to at least try to get him to level 5 to surpass Hana's cost recovery. Even then, it's going to be much easier to probably just use Hana since Hana trigger is much simpler. It's a high investment operator you have to consider in the fact, but at level 8 it's going to pay off and I highly recommend that. And for the side skill, the best one of course once again is going to be AoE damage reduction, so I highly recommend you to go after him with this passive skill with the selector coupon. Next operator we are going to be talking about is Asha, and she is considered the best operator as well alongside of the Sysop because how easy her trigger is, which is defender and supporter, and her damage buff for your ally units is pretty insane. Anti-ground damage plus 80% and attack speed plus 30% for 12 seconds. Of course it has some drawback, which is going to be only applied to non-mechanic ally ground units with 4 deployment costs or more, and the damage effect will decay over time. But even that is going to be one of the most OP operator that exists currently, and the stun effect the skill also has is going to be very useful to bypass some of the stages in PvE, and also very amazing in PvP as well. And side skill once again is going to be recommended with the AoE damage reduction, so try to go with your selector coupons to try to get her with the AoE damage reductions, and if you keep investing into her with dupes, it's definitely going to pay off in the future. After you invest into Sysop and Asha, you can definitely consider investing into next following operators, which will play big parts in PvP as well as PvE meta time to time. Olivia is one of the OG operator and still being used to this date as a meta PvP operator because her effect is pretty amazing. Notifies debuff on your ally counters and also grants the damage reductions as well as HP recovery for 10 seconds, and trigger is also not too terrible. Sniper, defender, and supporter, you just gotta gamble a little bit or change your leader comp, But generally, this is one of the most used operator other than the one I just mentioned previously. So I highly recommend going after this operator only after you finish those two I mentioned. Next operator we are going to be talking about is a Sasha, which requires a heavy investment, but she can give you 1.5 deployment cost, which is amazing, and she can also give you attack plus 30% and attack speed plus 30% for all your ally rangers for 12 seconds, and this is pretty amazing buff to boost up your burst damage for your ranger units. Especially in PvP, you can take this burst damage with certain comps, and you can see enemies just melting your front lines so easily by using this operator skill. So if you want to use this operator, I highly recommend AoE damage res. I think attack speed works time to time, but I think AoE damage res is definitely more popular, and it's very rush oriented, so it's very kind of niche compared to other operators we talked about so far, but still I think level 8 is pretty amazing. And like I said, if you finish everything else, you definitely want to try out something new. Sasha is definitely a really amazing operator that you can consider as well, and she's also pretty cute. Next operator is mostly for PvE, but at level 8, Vivian is another amazing option you can consider. She is going to be giving you 100% attack damage boost as well as skill haste plus 60% to all your allied ground strikers and snipers for 15 seconds. Of course, this effect gradually decays, but amount of burst damage it can give to your sniper units as well as striker units is huge. Not to mention, it also gives immunity to attack speed decrease and stuns if it is applied for units 4 cost or higher. So at level 8, this is another amazing operator I use time to time, especially in danger close, because trigger is also pretty comfy in those contents. Not to mention, just damage boost is pretty insane. You can melt a lot of boss really quickly by triggering her skill. And if you finish all those operators, I guess you can consider something like Serena, which is still pretty amazing time to time, certain situation in PvP. I think Mitch has been rising up to be one of the meta operators if you're using Striker a lot in PvP. And then there is also units like UP, which is also a really amazing character you can consider using for your sniper team. So there are a couple different options that you can use. But if you finish Sysop and Asha, I think that should be more than enough. The other options I mentioned is just up to your decisions. That's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you guys next time with more videos. Thanks for watching.